around like 12:15.
You said what?
We'll wrap up around 15.
Okay.
Okay. Well, hello everyone. I hope everybody we're catching some lunch break. I have myself and we have you say hi, Oakland? No? Not yet? Okay, she working on it. And I'm joined by my lovely guest, Miss Paris P. Johnson.
Hey.
Celebrated 25th birthday. And so we are here to say happy birthday, but also just hear some wisdom from her. Paris is a trauma coach, and I don't know if she markets herself as that, but that's what I see her as, because she's so well versed in trauma, what it means, how we carry it, how to get rid of it. And so I'm just like, girl, you just my trauma coach. So that's what she does. But she also has a day job that's related to IT. But I will let her tell you that because that's not my wheelhouse. But she's also a mother and a daughter and a friend and a sister. And I'm very proud to call her friend and to call her intercessor. And with that, I'll let her introduce herself, and then I'll just start asking you some questions.
Oh, thank you, Key. You always are so gracious. First of all, thank you for allowing me and even inviting me onto your platform, and actually even seeing the value in having these type of conversations is so necessary, especially when we're talking about entrepreneurs and really just people in general and working um, towards getting um, into business, but realizing that this is a significant thing to deal with, right? And so, just a little background: I am an entrepreneur myself. I run Cyber Consulting, and I have a show called Conversations from Paris, where we deal with mental health, and we deal with breaking the stigma that affects you in every part of your life, right? That mental health is not going to just go away. So if you don't deal with it, it will show up in every relationship, and it will show up in your in work. And what we're talking about right now, it's going to show up in your business. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, it's going to show up in your business if you don't deal with it. So yeah, and I just graduated with my psychology degree. So whoop, 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 excited about that. And this is my passion, to see people get healed. This is my passion, to see people do well. This is my passion, to see people to really not be defeated and walk as though life is happening to them, right? Because sometimes it feels that way. You feel vulnerable, like you can't control any of it. And I'm here to let you know there's a way to work on you, to do the work, to go through your process to get healing. So yes, I am excited for this opportunity. And yeah, I'm trauma coach. I just did a class called Trauma Triage, where that's what we did, really go head first into trauma and unpacking that thing, because most people don't think they have it. And I'm here to tell you, everybody has gone through one form of trauma, guaranteed. And so it's just a matter of figuring it out, working through it, healing from it, so that you don't have to suffer because of it.
Thank you. Trauma is a trendy word. Can you tell us the definition of
Yes. There are a few different definitions of trauma, but my particular definition that I like to go off of is trauma is any event or events, right? Because they can be reoccurring. So you understand what I'm saying there. I'll give you examples of that. But trauma is any event that has occurred that has affected you, your emotional growth, and not just your emotional growth, but literally mentally, right? And so, a lot of times when we think of trauma, we only think of like a major car accident, or we think of, you know, 9/11. If you were in the 9/11 building, the towers, or we think of trauma as rape, and all those things absolutely are parts of trauma. But trauma is also growing up in a big family and not getting feeling neglected and not getting what you needed as a child. Trauma is also being in relationships with an S on it that you feel unheard, you feel unseen. Um, that's also trauma because again, it trains you on how to look at life, right? That's an event or events, right? Trauma is also growing up with an emotionally unavailable parent, somebody that could give you everything that you wanted as far as like what you needed, like material wise, food, shelter, all those things, but they were not present with you and they were not able to nurture you the way you needed to. That's also trauma. So I like to make sure we're not minimizing it. And let's see, what's the biggest trauma? COVID. I think people forget COVID is still it is still here. Let's be clear. It doesn't have the victory over us, but it's there. And so dealing with the isolation, the quarantine, the job situation, the health situation, everybody was affected in, if not one way, multiple ways. So these are all traumas, right? And there's even such thing as um, indirect trauma. Like for example, if you have an addiction to some type that you're suffering with, like drugs or alcoholism, whoever is really close to you in your life, they are dealing with the trauma of you dealing with that. And they are too affected with that. They are. They are definitely affected with that. And of course, any death or any type of thing. So all of those are trauma. So I just define it as an event in your life that literally pauses. It's something that's so memorable that it flashes back in your head. It's something that is like one of those moments that literally goes into some that like a really big stick on your journey. And even though sometimes you feel like you might have healed from it, we might not. We might still have residue, right?
Yeah, that I mean, that's a lot. A lot. This could be a really long conversation. But I know today in particular about trauma goes. So you mentioned, a lot of people were born out of COVID or during COVID. Do you think some businesses were born out of trauma?
Absolutely. That is such a great question. Oh my God, it's such a great question. And I'll repeat the question in case you guys didn't hear it. She said, through COVID, do we believe that a lot of businesses that were born possibly were born out of trauma? And I believe that absolutely yes. I'll give. Well, let me give you my example. My business was born through COVID, but mine was more so a need for the trauma I felt, right? But I do believe there are people who started businesses and it literally was birthed from a place where, oh, this is going to be deep. I never said this out loud, but I think it's possible that they almost trauma bonded with their business. They almost trauma bonded, and just in case you guys don't know what the word trauma bond mean, it means to. It's usually with relationships to people, right? Let's say my mother died at a young age, your mother died at a young age. That's something we have in common, so we bond on that trauma, right? And that's called trauma bonding, right? It doesn't always have to be a negative thing, but a lot of times it can be because then again, we all come back and we replay that trauma. We don't heal from it, right? Well, when I say trauma bond with your business, sometimes your business could be birthed out of a need, but it's also birthed out of your trauma and you trying to cope with your unmet needs, right? Okay. COVID was hard on all of us, a lot, every one of us, it was hard. And if your business was birthed in a season of your trauma, you might be holding things that you're not able to really see because you're not aware. So that's definitely something. Yeah, that's a good one. That really realizing that your business was birthed on trauma. Oh no, I don't want to say that because it sounds horrible, but it's just true. And the good part about it is not like it's gonna. It doesn't mean that your business is doomed. It's just being aware because once we know, we can do something about it.
Absolutely, because I even think about people who work out and they decided they were going to start their own. Well, there could have been like a spirit of rejection. It could have been some fear. Hey, I can get another job, create a business. But fear, rejection, those things so show up. themselves. Um, oh, go ahead.
No. Those are all great points. Yes, birth out of fear, and that's the part where we have to be super careful about because, like you said, yeah, you have to pivot because hey, I lost my job or I birthed the business, which is a good thing. But if you didn't heal from the rejection of the last job, if you didn't heal from the fear of poverty, if you didn't heal from the fear of I'm not good enough, if you don't heal from those things, then honestly, you're running your business on that. And which is why a lot of you guys are probably exhausted. That's why a lot of you guys are running on fumes. That's why a lot of you guys are not able to move forward the way you want to because you're literally running from a place of desolate. You're running from a place of, you are literally just on your last. You're trying to keep your head above water. How many entrepreneurs have I heard say that I'm literally trying to keep my head above water? It's not always monetary. It's literally mindset, and it's literally dealing with that stuff, that fear, that rejection, orphan spirit. You know how many entrepreneurs are orphans? Woo! And I don't know if you guys know what the orphan spirit is. It doesn't mean that you necessarily were an orphan in your physical life, but orphan spirit means when you're not able to really feel like you were parenting and that even though you had your parents, they weren't really giving you the nurturing that you need. They didn't provide identity like they were supposed to, and therefore you feel disconnected. And it shows up in everything you do. It shows up in everything you do. So that's good. That's really good, that connection. I'm glad that you brought that up about that connection with the things being birthed out of fear. So yeah, I definitely can see how that would run all up and through your business. Matter of fact, it might even be in your mission statement. I'm not laughing, but I'm just saying God is revealing this to me. Like, yeah, definitely.
I want to talk about that. I want to talk about some ways that it shows. The thing I thought of was pricing. And so for creating businesses, I think when you're out there, like, look, I just want to say, I'm gonna charge you. You know what I mean? And about looking at how long it actually do that work. With the spirit of rejection, right? I just want a client, and so maybe you're pricing, but maybe you're overselling, you're over giving. Yeah, I can draw a mirror, I can a whole mirror, and then you look at it and it's like, 1/4 of the wall, and you're like, this ain't no mirror, you know what I mean? But people are overselling and overgiving because they're feeling like they're not good enough, their work is not good enough, and so that's two of the major ways I can see it really showing up and impacting our business and also our client experience, right? If clients don't purchase from us, then we're not gonna have a business. You know what I mean?
That's
If your pricing is not on point, it's not comparable to the industry. People don't want cheap things like they say they do, but then they like, why is it so cheap? You know what I mean? And so you have that, and then if you're overselling but then not delivering, then that's the issue too. So what are some other ways you see it showing up?
well, yeah. No, first of all, just to even show, like, to really get to the point of those things you brought up was you really went right in with the pricing, man. And that's something I even went through when I started my business is wanting to give people a great deal. And honestly, let me tell you where that comes from. That comes from a worthiness standpoint. That comes from a fear that, I don't know if my product is going to be deemed worthy because who am I, right? Who am I to bring this to you? What makes me competitive? Even if you know it's a great product, even if you put your energy and that you put excellence into it, that really shows up there in such a huge area. You named about, even like you said, how much you're or even what you're offering. I've seen people offer bundles, and I'd be like, you just offered them citizenship. You offered them a 10% of your business. You offered them a book for $20. Like, what is that? And that's again from that place of I I want people to believe that this is a good thing, and it's because you truly is some piece of you that really don't believe that. Um, even I've even heard mission statements, and it's so funny because we talk about mission statements and how they should be clear and really state your business purpose. And I sometimes you hear people that have this muddied like explanation is so bulky. It's not concise. There's not an avatar there. It's like seven avatars there because they cannot pull it down to be concise because they're all over the place. I don't know who I am assigned to, so I'm just gonna throw it to the wall and hope it sticks. Somebody in there gonna be helped, and if I do that, I don't have to be responsible for my thought that my direct avatar won't be helped. So I see it show up there.
And let me add to that. Also, it's not leave anybody out because maybe you felt left out, right? So you're like, I can help men, but I can help women too, and children, and everybody. And then you can kind of become like a superhero. And then that we know that that's not effective.
And again, my own testimony with that is that's what I was doing. That is definitely what I was doing. I was wanting to help everybody. And what you have to really get that savior complex that you have, because that's what it is. I mean, it originates from a pure place, but it also has something hidden behind it, like that rejection. Like if you didn't feel hurt, or what about that time you needed help and people weren't around? You're like, I want to always help everybody all the time. And again, it took for me to realize like I'm not God. I'm not God. I can only be Paris, and in my business, I can only service. Um, Either I can spread myself thin and try to reach everybody, which is never going to work, or either I can be very intentional and be okay with the fact that I'm not going to reach everybody. I don't have to, and I could be settled in that and say that I can give a quality service to the few that I'm called to. Right. So that's like that piece of, understanding what that is. Because if you don't understand that, people will tell you, I've been in, I've been in groups, entrepreneurship groups, and they tell you about this avatar. And baby, let me tell you something. That has been my hardest thing because I'm like, really want to help the world. And it's from a pure place. But again, it does also under that deal with that idea of it's even the perfectionism, even I see that too. Like I want to be all things to everyone because I don't want to leave anybody out. I don't want somebody to be able to say I didn't help them. That's even a people pleasing spirit too, right? You got to be super careful about that, right? So that whole idea of okay, you know what? I have to pick a lane and get very clear so I can provide a quality service because I could have two people that stand next to each other and need two completely different things. And if I just give them this watered down thing, it is really not beneficial. Versus I can pick a lane and give them something very direct and give them something. So you really have to heal from all those issues inside. So yeah, Kiana, that was a good point to even point that out. We see it in customer service. My God, I think that's the biggest qualm I have with a lot of entrepreneurs is them not really understanding that if you don't show up whole, if you don't deal with the trauma and you don't heal from that, your customer service is bad. And I'm not talking about bad, sometimes non-existent. And it's so interesting because you can meet somebody and talk to them and they're sweet as pie. And then when it comes down to the customer service, you're like, what is this disconnect? I don't understand what this disconnect is. And oftentimes what I see is that people who were not given grace are generally not able to give grace. People who were judged harshly usually judge harshly. And it's not an excuse. I'm just telling you, this is what usually happens. And it's from a trauma point. If you, in your childhood, when you did good, you had good grades, if you were not celebrated, it's hard for you to even kind of give people that not even I don't use the word celebration. Let me rephrase that. It's hard for you to really respect people and almost treat them with the respect that they need as a customer, right? Listen, If you think that you leaving your job and coming to a business meant that nobody can tell you what to do, you have not been entrepreneurship. You've not been in it long enough. Literally, your customers are the people that are setting the standards. And so the level of service that you provide to them is key. It's so key to your business, to retaining customers and getting new customers, right? So that should be at the top of your list. But some people are not capable of doing it, or when they think they're doing it, that meanness comes out, that streak, and you're like, what is that? And it's because people weren't kind to them, and people were not, even growing up, I've seen a lot of people even deal with being bullied before, and closing off, and not even really knowing how to give that level of excellence in the care. So you really got to deal with those soul issues. You got to really deal with that trauma, because it's coming off really nasty. You wonder why you can't retain people. Yes, you have a good product, sis. You got good service, but you got some bitterness in there. And you're not able to give people the customer service that they need, the customer service that they desire, that they deserve. Because I mean, let's be clear, some of our products are not cheap, and they shouldn't be. Okay, let me be clear. They shouldn't be. But if you come with a nasty spirit, you'll get that customer once. But they're not gonna come back. They'll go get a worse product because somebody's nicer. Ask me how I know, because I have been to places that have excellent products, but their spirit, their attitude, their customer service is non-existent. It's deceptive. They lack integrity. That's another thing. There's so many businesses that lack integrity because they believe that their product is not, or their service is not worthy, because it may be something that happened when when they were growing up, not really feeling like they're worthy, therefore that product can be worthy, so they have to operate in deception. We don't have to trick anybody when you have a good product. You don't have to operate outside of integrity when you have a good product. That's some brokenness that you have to deal with. When I see people that operate in deception, I already sit back and I say, and I'm not mad at you. I'm sad that you feel like you have to do that. But again, that's the brokenness that comes from not healing from the trauma. So it shows up in every part of the relationships. You can't even get contracts. You wonder why you're not getting contracts, sis? Let's talk about it, because all of this plays in there. You're wondering, and we didn't even get into partnerships, Kiana.
I was just saying, partnerships, employees. I mean, we can't do it alone, but a lot of us are, because of trauma. Feeling ourselves, not trusting people, not wanting to give people money, but we want other people to give us money.
Sis,
Huge.
Listen, it's a huge thing. A lot of us are going to get along. We won't scale our business. We won't hire anybody. We have been told, oh my God, this stems from that relationship stuff, and it stems from a lot of growing up, and even our parents. How many people have been told you can't trust anybody but yourself? Matter of fact, keep everything to yourself. Don't tell anybody anything. And I think it comes from a well-meaning, you really try to mean well with it, but the reality is it's so damaging. It's such a damaging way to live. And if that thing is embedded in you, you got to take that thing out, because you start to believe that my business will not flourish with anybody else. I've heard people say, I will never get a partner because they're going to sabotage my business. Mm-hmm. I've heard people say, I will never hire anybody because they're not going to do it. They're not going to value my business as much as I am. And don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not saying that there hasn't been situations like that, but that's definitely not everybody's situation. And not only is not everybody's situation, all of the businesses that do very well, they are not one person thing. I don't care what they tell y'all. They have a whole group of people. Even if it's one face, it is a whole group of people making that thing go around. So they have employees, they have partners, they have mentors. Hello. A lot of people can't go anywhere further because they won't get the coaching they need. They won't get the mentoring they need. They're afraid that somebody's going to tear their business down, but it's because of that hurt, that trauma, that rejection they have felt, that distrust that's embedded in their heart, and they really just, I believe, sabotage a lot of these relationships. They sabotage them before they go. I hear people talking about, I interviewed nobody was good enough. Well, what is your expectations as a CEO? I mean, let me say this: a lot of people just don't even know what to expect. Don't look for another you. It's only one you. Oh, I think I hit a chord there. It's only one you. You can't look for another you. You have to look for somebody else that is a good worker, and you can actually qualify it. So that whole idea of you, that's still brokenness. If you think you're gonna find 10 U's, you done messed up before you started.
The fact that you even want another you, it's just like, really? You know what I mean? People bring all kinds of differences to the table, which are usually for our good. You know, we don't need another us. That, like you said, that's already one of us. I wanted to also say how we spend our money, right? A lot of, like, society has taught us to spend money on outward things, right? The glitz and the game, the glitz and the glam. You mentioned coaching, mentoring, those things we can't wear, those things we can't make into social media posts. You know what I mean? And so how we spend our money and where we spend our money is also a reflection of, whether we're healed or not.
That is so true. A lot of people, like you said, they want to be able to show their success in monetary things. They
Mhm.
want to be able to show their success, on how they show up in a successful perception, where they're not investing because, again, they're unhealed. And sometimes people feel, I'm gonna just go and say it, some of it's pride, right? And a lot of it comes again from trauma, right? A lot of it comes, you build up this wall. You Trauma causes you to build a wall, and it's a wall that's dangerous. It's a wall that you might have built to protect you to survive, but now you're trying to thrive. And in order to thrive, you got to deconstruct that wall so that you can realize that you're not a one person show, nor should you want to be. Do you want to be worn out all day, every day? Do you want to be, you can't even celebrate your success because what's this word? I hate this word, grinding. Grinding. If y'all really think about what grinding means, y'all ever heard like grinding your gears? You literally are wearing parts of you out. You are literally, there's dust particles coming because parts of you are wore down. I don't want to be grinding. I don't want to be grinding. I want to work in purpose, efficiency, and in being intentional. And the way that you can do it is, if you don't already know what you need to know, you need to get a mentor. But you have to drop the pride, drop the idea that you can do it all by yourself. The vulnerability has to come into play too. And I think sometimes trauma does not allow for vulnerability. If you have to be superwoman, come on. And we talk about CEOs, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna angle a little bit towards especially Black women. We have that Black woman syndrome. We have to be superwoman, and I'm tired of it. That cape, man, let's cut the cape off. Like, I'm no longer proclaiming to have a cape. I cannot do it all alone. I cannot do it all alone. We are meant to have relationships, and you're supposed to have relationships at your level. You're supposed to have relationships above you. If I'm the smartest person in my group, then I'm not doing something right. Like, we need to be able to understand, to be around people that can pour, and you're not even going to be able to develop those type of relationships with that brokenness, that anger, that pride, that I don't need anybody. You do. It's just hard to be vulnerable, and especially hard when you're dealing and you have not healed from that trauma of it, right? And so that's definitely a situation. You're not going to see a value in mentorship if you can't trust the person. If you are literally thinking about all the people that let you down, your mama, your daddy, your sisters, your cousins, that last man, that last woman, that your first friend. Some of y'all still talking about your first best friend from sixth grade that pissed you off because she fought you to be with Darlene. and I'm joking about it, but I'm telling you, some of you guys are still hurt from that. And you vow to never let somebody hurt you again. Oh, but we got to be careful about those vows. We got to be careful about those vows because they show up in your business too. So if you won't let nobody hurt you, then now I'm not going to take the mentorship that I need because I don't really trust you, because you might take me for all what I have. And my money, I'm going to lose it because I don't really believe, I don't trust that you can really, that you're helping me from a good place. Or this is the other part, the self-worth thing. I don't believe I'm worthy of the investment, because really the investment is in yourself. you're gonna grow. You don't really think that you need to be that you need to invest in you. Y'all run to the stock market. That's a trendy thing to do. Y'all run to crypto that y'all don't know nothing about. Y'all throw money at it. Y'all throw money at the next person to tell y'all that y'all can do Airbnb property. They do all of that, and you don't know nothing about it yet, but you just want them to tell you how to do it. But you will not invest in the development of yourself and really the stuff that can't be seen. Even if it don't make you $1 million, it's building you inward and teaching you how to do things. And that's because of a worthiness issue, right? So all of it's so crazy. All of it's trauma based. All of it is.
Wow, wow. So good. So we talked a lot about the trauma. Let's talk about how we can heal from the trauma. How do we, once we identify it, how do we begin to unpack that and let it go?
Well, there are so many different ways that you can start the journey. The first thing is acknowledging it. It sounds so simple, doesn't it? Sounds super simple, but you first have to acknowledge it's there, right? And then once you acknowledge it and you pinpoint it, then you have to forgiveness is so necessary. Forgiveness of yourself, forgiveness of the people involved, because if you don't work on it, forgiveness people, the bitterness festers. It festers and it sets up, and therefore you could say, well, I forgave that person, but I need y'all to understand as many times as it comes up, as many times you have to forgive. I know that was a hard part for me too, but you got to forgive. Forgiveness is a huge piece of this, right? So you got to forgive them and forgive yourself. Because sometimes we're like, oh, I wasted time with that situation. I wasted time with that person. And you're stuck there. You're stuck, right? And that's even called the arrested development. That's a little deeper, but you want to make sure you get unstuck by the forgiveness. The next piece of it is, I know we're talking about kingdom entrepreneurship. So definitely prayer, right? We definitely believe in going to our creator, to God, to be able to help us to release those things. And he gave us the Holy Spirit, which is amazing, right? So we can go to the Holy Spirit as our comforter and ask him to reveal these things. I mean, that's a lot of ways it happens to me. If you ask the right questions, and that's part of being a self-aware, is if you ask the right questions, you can actually start your own process. Like, I'll give you an example. Something can happen and you can say something to somebody and you be like, huh, that didn't feel right. Was I wrong? Is this that? Do I have something against that person? If you ask the Holy Spirit, he'll tell you. He'll show you. He really will. You just got to not be afraid to ask. Sometimes we're afraid to ask because we don't believe it's possible. So if you drop the pride, and it's necessary. I'm sorry, guys. You can't do any of this without operating in humility. You got to want to be healed. You got to want to do the work. I'm not here to tell you it's easy. I'm here to tell you it's necessary and that you have the grace to do it. You have the capacity to do it. So yeah, you also have to you have to drop the pride, operate in humility. After you have acknowledged the situation, and then, like I said, pray. You can ask God to take the thing away from you, heal you from that place. Um, I do believe there's a place for deliverance here. Not going to go into that, but it really there's definitely that place there. But again, I really don't believe it stops there. I do believe therapy. I really do believe in therapy. I really think that sometimes you can't see completely into your soul. I mean, he can reveal a lot of things, but it's necessary to get that unbiased outside look, so that you can see a thing for what it really is. Some of my biggest revelations was somebody being able to hold a mirror up to me and say, hey, this is something that's a problem. And me being able to look at it and sit there. I mean, have y'all ever looked in the mirror, didn't like what you see and turned your head? But somebody making you look in that mirror and making you deal with it. So I definitely believe therapy is a necessary tool that's going to definitely help you. I mean, I really top tier self-care. I'm telling you, you will be so grateful after you started. Everybody who I know started it, like, wow, why didn't I do this years ago? Because it definitely helps you out and gives you just that edge. I mean, I even look at it sometimes as a coach, like, that person is helping you get through that. And then also, I really just believe self-care. I wrote a whole ebook about it, on how self-care is more than just going to the nail shop. Self-care is more than just getting a massage, but those things are necessary and needed. But also, self-care can just be rest. Man, we don't know how to rest as CEOs, do we? we don't know how to, really do the work and then sit down and let ourselves rejuvenate. That's so important, right? And that's part of the trauma of it all, right? Not thinking that we deserve a rest, and not even understanding that our brain has to heal. You consume, give, and you never have a moment for just like peace. You never really have a moment for things to sink in, right? So those are the type of things that you need to really approach it. And those are the beginning ways to really work on these things. And also, just like, I believe meditation is necessary as well. I know we talk about prayer. I know sometimes people get scared of that meditation word. All meditation is shutting the mind down, getting quiet, and focusing on really releasing all the stress. I mean, it's a mind thing, it's a spirit thing, it's a body thing. And sometimes just getting quiet and still, even unless you see things in a different light, it's all necessary. It's all necessary for you to see it from a different level. So those are some of the things that really do help you. So, like what I said, acknowledging trauma is not a thing like, oh my God, I've been in trauma, I don't want to be a victim. It's not about being a victim. It's actually about doing something about it. Once you acknowledge it, now we can move forward. Now we can start the healing journey. Oh, and one last thing, journaling. Wholeheartedly believe you start writing some of that stuff down, it will come out, and you'll start to realize some of those things in your head. And it doesn't have to be a certain thing you write. Just start writing, and that thing, I'm telling you, will start to get clear. You'll even start getting some ideas for your business that you didn't even realize you had creatively, because you've been so bogged up with all of your heart issues that show up in your business. And now you'll start to see clear. You get that clarity going.
Wow, wow. This has been so good. I know we're wrapping up, but I cannot wait to hear more of this during our boot camp the end of this month. I know it's going to be amazing, transformational, and it's really information that we need. I think we focus so much on money, 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 sales, 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 and those things are important, but they come from a foundation. And if that foundation is not in place, then we're really just spinning our wheels. Um,
Yeah, it's
Mental health is part of the foundation of who we are as CEOs and part of the foundation of our business. If you're an employee, now if you just setting it up and somebody else running it, then that's different.
cool. Yeah, no, this is it's so necessary, and I'm so grateful that you understand the necessity of it. Because again, you're not going to be able to go far without that good foundation. And this is such a it's not spoken about enough. It really isn't spoken a lot, and it literally is the difference between. I mean, for a lot of people, it's the difference between being successful or not. Because you're not even able to put the work in that people. You can get overwhelmed by people telling you about the work if you're not clear and free. You're
Right.
not clear of those issues. You're not able. You won't take the mentorship. You won't do the. You don't think that those things are necessary. You try to do everything by yourself. You're exhausted. You won't hire anybody. These are those things that people don't talk about that are hindrances to your business. So I really do believe this is first level foundational stuff. And if we get this clear, man, watch your business go off. I'm ready for the praise reports afterwards. I'm so excited. And the testimonials of how people got free and how they realized that, wow, now I can really go forward in my business. So
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Too, me too. So, if you're interested, if you're watching, you're listening, and you're interested in the boot camp, definitely contact me or contact Paris, and we can get you the link to sign up. Paris, how can they reach you one on one? If they decide, look, I need me a trauma coach, I cannot unpack this myself. How can they reach you?
Well, first of all, I'm on all social media platforms. So I'm on Instagram as Paris P. Johnson. Um, I'm on Facebook as Conversations from Paris. I am on TikTok even as Conversations from Paris. I'm on YouTube as Conversations from Paris. You can always send me a message. I have a website. My website is www.parispjohnson.com. Again, that's www.paris, Paris is PARIS, Johnson, JOHNSON.com. You can ping me there. You can reach me there for consultations or anything. And my email address, I believe, is parispjohnson.com. You can send me a message personally there. So any of those ways, if you inbox me, any of those ways, I can definitely get to you and let you know how I can help you.
Okay. Um, well, did anybody have questions? I want to give people a chance to ask questions. If you see any parents, let me know. Do you have your phone pulled up? You're on mute.
Sorry, girl, I'll be trying to be on mute. Actually, I did not, but it should show up in StreamYard. I don't see anything.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
Okay.
it should show up there.
Okay.
So I don't see anything. But if you guys have questions, even if you're watching the replay, type replay so we can know any questions you have that I can answer. I will answer. I'll look forward to them. And if I don't see them, I know Kiana will see them and send it to me, and she can answer anything as well. Guys, sign up. It's going to be in person. The dates are the 26th and the 27th of August, right?
Yes, the 26th and the 26th and 27th of August. We're going to be at the Georgia State College of Law, so downtown Atlanta. It's a beautiful building.
Beautiful.
Yes, in-person registration is limited to the first 15 people. So we want to get it. But we also have virtual options available if you're unable to make it to Atlanta or if you prefer to be online. So,
Yes. Yes. And I want all my people, I'm from Chicago. So if y'all see this, I'm trying to tell y'all, look at the flyer. You're going to get so much more. Even the people that I'm on stage with, they are, man, the type of experience you have, man, you feel stuck. If you feel like you need to really get something, or even if you really feel like you don't know where to start, this is good information. And man, I'm telling you, you go to some of these bigger places, you would never get it for this price. I'm telling you, this is the stuff that you really need. So if you might in Chicago, I live in Texas now. You're in Texas, you can access all of this stuff virtual. I guarantee you're going to walk away with so much information, so much good stuff that's going to be able to take back and make actionable plans, like not just theory. So I'm really excited, guys. Sign up. And then she said she only got 15. I'm sure it's not even 15 anymore. So, guys, you really need to get on top of it because, listen, this thing gonna be fire. It's gonna be fire. So I'm excited to be a part of this. Man, I'm excited. So, if you have any questions, reach out to Kiana. Reach out to me if you have any questions about this particularly.
okay. Well, thank you so much, Paris. And with that, we're going to sign off, but we'll be chatting soon. Bye.